Welcome to the World Kitchen. As a church, we are excited to offer this program, and we really hope that it's an opportunity for us to not only learn about another country, but it's an opportunity to cook together in the kitchen, and then also to hear a little bit about what the Presbyterian Church USA is doing around the world. And so we look forward to sharing these next 9 months in the World Kitchen. Would you join your hearts with mine in prayer? God, we thank you for the opportunity, even during a time like this, to gather together, to cook and to learn more about your work in the world. I pray that as we cook and as we learn, that we would be drawn to others and that we would lift them in prayer and that we would think about what you're doing in the world through the Presbyterian Church. Thank you for this gift. In Jesus' name.
Hi, my name is Willa MacKenzie, and I'm a member of our Mission and Social Action team. This month, our World Kitchen project looks at the work of the Presbyterian Church in India. Presbyterian World Mission works in India through partner church relationships. Collaborative efforts expand the reach of PCUSA into India, working through the Church of Northern India, the Church of South India, and the Presbyterian Church of India. These collaborations promote Christian unity and ecumenical relations. Special ministries include ministries to street children and social justice programs. Other mission emphasis include parish ministries, social, health and community development, unity and ecumenical relations, education, children's ministries, and evangelism. The PCUSA also joins with its partners in these ministries: church development, food aid, higher education, human rights advocacy, hunger, leadership development, ministry to minorities, theological education, women's work, and youth ministries. The Presbyterian Church of India is concentrated mainly in the northeastern states where insurgent underground groups have been actively disruptive. The church has an important role to play in promoting peace and harmony. PCUSA directly supports CSI Ewart Women's Christian College. The college seeks to serve underprivileged women and to provide a transforming higher education that is based on the life and ministry of Jesus Christ. Nearly 70% of the 300 students rely on scholarships for their 3 years of undergraduate studies, which include clinical nutrition, microbiology, computer science, mathematics, and business. PCUSA will continue its ministry and mission in India, a richly diverse nation.
Hi, I'm George Neill, and I'm an amateur photographer, and I've had the very good fortune to travel to some amazing locations to take photos. My very first photography class was actually 2 weeks in India, after I had asked a former college roommate if I could carry his bags on his next trip. He had just posted some of his photos from a workshop he led into Rajasthan, India in 2013. His response was for me to buy a camera and join him on his next trip. Now, I'd never really had a camera, so I decided why not. So I bought a small camera, and since then, with Matt and 11 other photographers for 2 weeks throughout Rajasthan, which is essentially southwest of Delhi. And since then, I've been back to northern India and 2 weeks in Mongolia, most recently with him. As a result of that first trip, I learned a lot from all the other photographers and joined the local photography club in La Crosse. One of my photos submitted to their competitions was selected as a first place photo for portraits. Now I was hooked because people seemed to like what I was doing. What I immediately discovered about the Indian people was that they were interested in me, why I was there, and they weren't afraid to ask about our reason for being there. and they were genuinely interested in what we thought about their country. They were very outgoing and actually a lot of fun to interact with. One of the things that was initially a challenge was just how dirty the country was. Now, a lot of that is because they just don't have the infrastructure to clean things up, to have centralized garbage disposal. One of the other things that was so wonderful was the difference between the big cities and the rural villages and smaller cities that we visited. We stayed in incredibly old Indian forts, some of which are still owned by the descendants of Maharajas. Most of them are currently used as small hotels. And while we were in the country, we experienced incredible hospitality. The people were very interested in us and very open to our photo requests and telling us about their heritage and their family life in India. Because Matt's wife was fluent in Hindi, she was able to order some amazing meals for us. But my mouth and stomach remember our last day in Rajasthan, in the country, a small city with a street vendor who was cooking samosas, which is a small fried dumpling typically filled with potatoes and vegetables. These were offered with a wide variety of sauces and chutneys, and we actually spent quite a bit of time there because it was so good. What I remember most about India is the people. They were simply wonderful, very interested and engaging with us, very open to having their photos taken. Everyone smiled all the time, and the colors and the food were simply amazing. I hope to continue my travels to some other places, but India will always hold a dear place in my heart. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed some of my photos.
Today we're preparing samosas, a filled pastry that is served as an entree or as an appetizer throughout India, Southeast Asia, the Arabian Peninsula, and North Africa. There are lots of versions of samosas with regional favorites. Some areas use lamb or beef as filling. Some use carrots, onions, cashews, or raisins. We're going to prepare a traditional vegetarian version, so let's get started. We've peeled 4 potatoes. We're going to go ahead and set those to boil gently and cook them just until they're cooked through. While our potatoes are cooking, we're also going to go ahead and cook 1/2 cup of peas. Now we're going to do these in the microwave just to move them along, about 2 minutes with a little bit of water, and then we'll put this together. Okay, our potatoes have just about finished cooking, so we're going to go ahead and continue preparing the filling. We'll start by adding a tablespoon of oil to our pan, and to that we're going to add our cumin seed, and we're going to let that cook until it starts to sizzle. Folks, you can see that this is starting to sizzle a little bit. And once it starts to sizzle, we're going to add our chopped ginger. And we've used some fresh ginger here and have minced it. Let that start to cook. And the recipe calls for 1 to 2 green chilies. So I'm going to add about 2 generous tablespoons of a chopped green chili. To simplify, we've used commercially purchased green chilies. If you want to use a fresh green chili, a poblano chili would be a good approximation of a green chili that would have been used in India. So this is becoming very fragrant. The ginger and the cumin seeds and the chilies cooking up there. And we're going to let that cook about 60 seconds. And we have drained our peas. We're going to go ahead and add the peas to the ginger and green chili mixture. And that was about a half a cup. And we're going to let this saute for 2 minutes. Samosas are a traditional food served in India at festival events. Children also take them in their lunch boxes to school. And they're a favorite fast food. You can certainly find them served by street vendors all through India. Now we're going ahead and add the spices. We're going to add a red cayenne pepper, which is a close approximation to the red chili powder that's also recommended. The cayenne would be a little longer heat in the mouth compared to red chili peppers. We're going to add some garam masala. And this is really, really fragrant now. And cumin powder. And we're going to let this saute for about 30 seconds. Okay, that's sauteed about 30 seconds. Now we're going to go ahead and add those potatoes that we've crumbled. Some recipes mash the potatoes. We've just crumbled them into large crumbles. And we'll add a half teaspoon of salt. I'm going to let that cook for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, we've let that cook for 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add a generous teaspoon of lemon juice and coriander. And that is the basic filling. We're going to set this aside and we'll work on the pastry next. Traditionally, the samosa pastry is a dough made from flour, melted ghee, water, carom seeds, and salt. But to simplify things, we've just used some egg roll wrappers, commercially available. Now, if you're looking for egg roll wrappers in the grocery store, I'd suggest that you look in the refrigerated vegetable area. So what we're going to do is cut the egg roll wrapper into a circle so that it more closely represents the traditional shape of the samosas. So here we've cut a circle, and this will just be some extra pastry that we're going to set aside. And here's our samosa rounds. I'm just going to take one of those, set the rest aside, and let's cut that in half. Now to assemble the samosa, we're going to add some water along the seam here. And what we want to do is create a little cone, like this. And then we'll take our samosa filling, the potato pea. Go ahead and put a generous tablespoon into your cone. Again, we're going to add water to the top, and that's going to help us seal. And they first make a fold in their cone, and then they crimp it together. And that allows the little samosa to stand up. So now we have our little standing samosa. So again, it's a little water on the seam. Make your cone. Pinch that end down there so you have a good seal. And about a generous tablespoon of filling of your peas and potatoes. A little more water to seal the top of your cone. We're going to make that pinch. That helps it stand. And then seal your cone Now, traditionally, the samosas would be a fried appetizer, but to help make this a little healthier, we're going to bake our samosas. Okay, so we've prepared our samosas, put them on a tray lined with parchment paper, and we're brushing them with a little bit of vegetable oil just to give them a nice crisp finish. We're going to bake these in the oven at 400 degrees for 10-12 minutes, and then take them out and turn them, and then you'll put them back in for another 12 minutes. You want them to be a nice golden brown as they come out of the oven. And so there they are, brushed and ready to go in the oven. Okay, so we've taken our samosas out of the oven. They're a nice crispy golden brown just out of the oven. Kind of that little stand-up presentation there. Oftentimes samosas are served with a chutney or a spiced ketchup blend. So here are our samosas ready to go. A little garnish. Mmm. Yum. Samosas.